Hey, Pastor David. First of all, thank you so much for the service today and for the word. And I'm sending you this just to let you know that and to share something that God did in my heart this morning. And everything started with your message and the word that you gave to the business owner. I received it, and when you were saying it, I was there receiving it, and God was talking to me directly. And because I made a decision yesterday, and I have a meeting with my employees that I was going to cut the hours. Of course, maybe some of them were going to work 20 hours, others 30, 35, depends on their position. And I told them that God was our provider, and that but we were making some changes and measures just to make sure that we were going to go through this crisis. So I was fine until this morning. And when you share that word to the business owner, I said, you know what? We should be different. We should doing something different than the world is doing. So when we finished watching the service, God immediately put in my heart to read Jeremiah 33. And I said, okay, I'm gonna read it. I didn't know what Jeremiah 33 is about, but when I read it, I was like in shock. So I make a video to my employees, tell them how God moved my heart, and that I make a decision to change back to regular hours, 40 hours for each one of them. And I just wanted to share with you in case you wanted to share with the other members that are business owner, in case God speak to them through your word, and maybe through this word in Jeremiah 33. And I'm gonna read Jeremiah 33:6, and it says, and when I read this, I'm like, oh my God, it says, but I will make the people in this city well again. I was shocked. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it said, I will make my people well, and they will enjoy peace. So God immediately took my attention and said, I'm talking to you. This is me. It's not, you are not making this up. So, and then I keep reading, and verse 10, it says, the Lord says, you say that this place is empty, without men or animals, but people will return to the empty streets in Jerusalem. People will make a happy noise where now there are no men and no animals. So I say, okay, what else? And then in verse 12, that's when actually he spoke to me and confirmed what I felt in my heart when you were talking. It's in verse 12, where it says, that is what the Lord Almighty says. In this place, empty and without men or animals, in all its towns, there will be again pasture for shepherd to rest their flocks. So I'm saying like, oh my God, of course I read it in Spanish and it spoke to me more clearly. But basically I felt like God was saying, in this time where the streets are empty and there is no man, what's going on, it should be shepherds, that they can have a place for people to rest. And I immediately say, yeah, I cannot, as a business owner, I'm also a minister to them. I pray with them all the time, and we have devotional in the morning, and I always say, God is our provider. And I remember when in 2008 we had the big crisis. I'm a real estate agent also, and I had a tough time, but God, in a miracle ways, he provided me to keep going. And I'm here, with a bigger business. And it was because I kept believing that he was our provider. And I say, you know what? That was like 2 years or 3 years of crisis. And this time it will be shorter, maybe a couple of months. And how I would cut the hours for my employees, and how I can tell them that God is our provider, how I can testify that God did did some miracles in our life, or that he can provide when something is going on. So I say, I'm sorry, God, yesterday I said, God is our provider, but I'm gonna cut the hours. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I sent a video to my employee, I say, I'm sorry, we are in faith. We are gonna have pasture for you. We are gonna have food. We're gonna have your regular hours so you can go through this time. And by doing that, God will do what he has to do and only he can do in our business, in our life, and he will provide. And like he says, people will sing again, people will rejoice again. And I believe that. So thank you for your word, because through you he started talking to me, and he took me to this word that it was amazing, that he will bring healing and people will come back rejoicing to the street. So business owner, if pastor decided to share with you, this is a time that we can ministry not just with words, but with our action, our decision, that we have a great God and that he's our provider and he will do what only he can do. God bless you.